Okay, hi, I'm Jim Glover, and I'm with Peak Performance Coaching here in Canada. We're down at a training camp in Virginia this week. And the one thing we're going to talk about tonight is the pace line, so that we can try and get our groups to run a little more smoothly and go faster and not spend as much energy. And that's what a pace line helps you do. And so my wonderful little bottles here are going to be 4 people. And with this, what we're going to do is show you how that rotates through, and it depends on where the wind's coming from, if you're rolling up and down hills, and how it makes it more efficient. When you see the data and the articles about it, the front guy is doing what's called 100% of the work. And then the guys behind are only doing somewhere between 70 and 65% of the work that the front person's doing. So that means it's a lot easier if you're sitting in behind somebody to go the same speed. And when you share that work with people, then that means you work a little harder when you're on the front and you get to recover when you're on the back, and then the whole group gets to go faster. Or if you're really into mathematics, you say you're only doing the work at the front for 25% of the time. So it means the rest of the time you're getting to goof off just a little bit. And so you can either stay with the group better, or you can participate and the whole group just gets to go faster. And then each person's not actually spending as much energy as if they were trying to go that fast by themselves. So what happens in a pace line, if the wind was coming straight at us, you want to line kind of straight up like this. If the wind was coming from the side, then you're going to line up a little bit like this. You'll see that in the tour where they're kind of strung out right across a road or whatever. And what that means, if they're strung out like this, the wind's coming from this side. Okay? And then what happens is this person on the front's going to come off the front, and he's going to come down this way to get onto the back. And the reason they come off this way and come off versus coming off this side is that as he comes down here, he's still giving protection to each rider as he's working his way to the back. Okay? And then when he gets on the back, and then this person is now doing the big chunk of work, and when his turn is done, he'll do the same thing. He'll peel off, and then this person is going to take the front, and this one will move to the back. Now, the other thing that happens a lot of times is the person that takes over the front decides, well, I'm at the front, I have to work harder, so they go, and they turn up the gas really hard. And then they go away from the group. We won't mention any names, will we, Jeff?
No.
Anyway.
Not today.
Not today. And so that makes it much tougher for the rest. And so the idea is learning how hard you have to add your workload so that you aren't actually changing anything. Okay? And so if you have a speedometer on your bike and you're on smooth road, when you're in the second position, the best thing you can do is check your speedometer to see how fast you're going with the guy in front. And so what happens is then when he peels off, you just keep going the same speed. You don't add a whole bunch of power and add 2 or 3 kilometers an hour. Okay? This isn't where your heart rate monitor is going to help you, as an example. Your heart rate monitor won't help you with this because 2 things happen. One is it's not going to react fast enough to the change. And number 2 is the difference between heart rate between the front guy and this back guy might be 10 to 20 heartbeats. Once you've gotten to the back and you're at the back for a little while, it might be upwards of 20 beats lower than when you're on the front. Okay? And that's something, if you're using a heart rate monitor, you can check that, and that'll help you with, if you're doing really long pulls, that would be telling you how you're keeping the same sort of pace as to what was when you were on the back. But it's a little trickier that way because a heart rate monitor doesn't operate by changing really quickly. And so you'd be up on down the road for a while before they catch up under those conditions a lot of times. So that's as if the wind's coming.
But they're swearing a lot there.
Yeah, that's where the swearing comes in. Yeah. Sometimes, the ongoing threat of throwing water bottles. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so that's and again, depending on where the wind's coming from, you'll see that the line roll out like this. Now, when we first tried doing it today, the first thing we did was we lined up this way, and because we were on a fairly narrow road, the safest way to do it is say, here is the edge of the road, and this guy's always going to peel off and come off this way. Okay, versus the other way, if you say, okay, then you take the line out into the middle of the lane, and you say the edge of the road's here, then you always have to make sure you're out in the middle of the road and you turn and come down this way. Well, if you manage to squeeze over, there's no room to come down. Where's he going to go? Right? So that's why, regardless of which way the wind's going, unless you've got a nice big road or a road that's going to be quiet and it's a crosswind, you tend not to get away with coming over on an angle like that. When we're doing a lot of races, you're going to get to do this because you know you're going to use at least half of the road. In Ontario, we call it the yellow line rule. In most states and most countries, if they're racing on a non-closed road, we'll have a road that's a rule that's basically saying you can't use the other side of the road. If you use the other side of the road, you're disqualified. And some jurisdictions are very picky about that. And so what we're going to end up practicing is going from here, and the edge of the road will be here, and we're going to come out, and then when you're done your pull, you're going to come out and come back, work yourself onto the back. Okay? So, technique. Yeah.
So, but if you're like, if there's cars.
Yeah.
I
You
always
mean
thought
cars
you
coming
wanted.
by this way, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So I always thought it would, you're gonna, you always try to go to the inside so you don't get.
Well, that has good merit as well. And as I said, where it comes to be an issue is if you're saying there's a lot of traffic, then yeah, that can be safer, but what you end up having to do is make sure that this line then is quite a ways from the edge of the road, right? And the cars won't understand that you're leaving the edge of the road wide like that so that this guy can come down.
So you, okay.
So that it ends up going the other way. And sometimes when it gets really busy, the person on the front just gets to stay on the front for a while. They don't end up having a choice because they feel, for safety reasons, they don't feel they can come out and get back on. Okay, so the second part of all that then is the technique of getting back on. It's all fine and good to be able to make your pull, and maybe you do a really hard pull for a really long time and everybody's really happy that you pulled for 10 kilometers into the wind, but then you got to get out and get on the back. Okay, so the best way to keep it smooth for people that have their speedometers is the speed you're on the front, only slow down by 2 to 3 kilometers an hour when you move over to the side. Okay? Relative to the speed you're on the front. So if you're going 30 on the front, you slow down to 27 and let the group go by. Okay? And that way when you're back here and you're jumping back up onto the pack, you're only adding from 27 to 30, and it's not that hard. Okay, it can be quite smooth because what you'll see, you know, if you're in the same rotation all the time, you'll know who this is, and you'll know when to start accelerating as you work your way across to get in behind again. Okay? What I tried to get the guys in my last camp to do is when they knew they were in the last pair and somebody was coming down, because we were doing it as a double echelon, I said, well, as they come back down, tell them that you're the last pair. So they have a little warning of, okay, we have to get ready to get back on, versus they get to here, oh, there's nobody else, and jump back on. You want the group to be able to pedal and be as smooth as possible so that you're not always speeding up and slowing down. So you're not attacking really hard on the uphills, trying to blow somebody out of the group, and you're not trying to then have to go super slow on the flat part on the top, because then you got to recover from it. You want to just keep the momentum of everything. So then the next phase of this is learning how to take advantage of that momentum. Because right when the first guy starts going up the hill, he's breaking the wind and having to go up the hill. Well, he's going to slow down first if he doesn't add a lot of extra power. And so what you want to do is, as soon as you start feeling like you've got to add a lot of extra power, you move over, and then the momentum of the next one gets to carry them up past you. Okay? And then sometimes you can actually do it so you can go over, and then this one comes through, and then this one comes through, and this one comes through. And all of them use more of their momentum versus actual power to pop over something fairly small. Versus the front guy stays on the front and has to power all the way over the front top and then get off and then get back on. Okay?